Hello, my name is Adam Warfield, and I am going to be walking you through a quick demo here for my first development sprint for Pokécheck. Now, for those of you wondering what Pokécheck is, it is going to be a hack checker for the competitive Pokemon community. Now, without further ado, let's jump into my goals for this first sprint. So the main goal was to complete the main view for the hack checker. This would be obviously where the hack check is actually conducted and where the users will spend most of their time in this application. I also wanted to add some selection functionality to that view. Now this took longer than anticipated, as I originally started by creating the view in a border layout, but it quickly became very, very complex, and it was taking a very long time to get everything exactly where I wanted it to be. So I switched over to the NetBeans drag and drop GUI builder. It made things a lot easier, and I was able to scrap the old view that I was working on and pass where I was with that in a matter of probably about an hour or so. But that was a little bit of a setback, having to delete a lot of the work I had done. And then after that, I decided I wanted to create a tab pane for navigation. Now there will only be 2 or 3 different views in this application, most likely, as it's a pretty simple application. So I decided it would be a good idea to just have them all loaded in, especially since users will be spending most of their time in the hack checker view. So they'll all be loaded in when they open up the application, and then they'll be able to click through the tabs to navigate between the views. And then when they come back to each view, whatever they have done in that view will still be there for them. And then my final goal was to begin work on the database, but due to the complications with building the hack checker view, I had to postpone that for next sprint, and I will put a little extra time in to get caught up and get that done by the end of the sprint. Okay, so now we are just going to hop over and begin our demo. Okay, this is Pokécheck in its current state. So right here, this is going to be where you select your Pokemon. Currently, since I didn't get to work on the database, there aren't any Pokemon to be selected. But when I do get that done, this sprite here will change according to the Pokemon you have selected. Currently, it's just a nice little Pikachu as a placeholder there. So here, I decided to break up these selections into 2 categories. The moves, every Pokemon has 4 moves, so there are 4 move slots. You cannot select the moves yet either, because they are dependent on the Pokemon. Each Pokemon is going to have a list of moves that is associated with it, and then you will be able to select them then. And then there's general information, for lack of a better term. There are the natures. There are 25 natures, all 25 loaded in already, and you can select from them. You can also type to navigate to a particular nature faster. And then abilities, they will also be associated with the Pokemon, so they have not been implemented yet either. And then the ball caught in selection is right here as well. Same deal, you can type. The sprite changes to whatever ball is selected, much like the Pokemon sprite is going to. Now this is actually a lot more important than it may seem for the Pokeball sprites especially, because the way they are represented in the game, there is no name next to the ball when you see the ball that the Pokemon is caught in. So it's very important to have this image here to be able to verify what ball that Pokemon is in. And then here we have little check boxes to indicate whether or not a Pokemon is shiny or from the daycare helpers. Both can be selected at once, obviously, because a Pokemon can both be shiny and from the daycare. But these were originally going to be J radio buttons. I decided to switch them over to checkboxes to save a little space and make things a little simpler. Now here, this is going to be the button you click when you check your Pokemon. The results will be displayed over here. Currently, this is still editable. I'm probably going to switch up the way that's labeled. Probably put a little label up top here. There may be another way. I haven't 100% figured out how the results will be displayed, but it'll be something with this text box here. Now to the tab view, this is the tab view for navigation I was talking about earlier. So there I just switched over to the information and instructions panel. Currently there's nothing here. I'll be working on that in a later sprint. I just threw it in so that I could have two panels to navigate between for now. You can also use the arrow keys to navigate in addition to the mouse if you want to. But if you take a look, you can notice that all the information entered earlier stayed the same. This is important because if you are hopping over to get some instructions and you have it halfway filled out, you say, hey, I don't know how, like what the shiny selection thing means. You can hop over to info and instructions. You'll be able to read about there, and you won't lose the progress of the Pokemon that you have entered already. That's really about it for now for this. I'll do a brief code walkthrough here in a second, but I'm pleased with how this is coming along, and I'm excited to work on it more in the next sprint. All right, we're gonna wrap things up here with a walkthrough of my code. We'll start off here in the checker view, since this is where I spent most of my time in this sprint. So here is just the generated code from the GUI builder. Basically just initializes all the components and then places them on the panel in the positions that I specified. It looks pretty complicated. It's really nothing too crazy. There's just a lot of stuff in there to get all the gaps and everything. So then we'll hop on down to the action listeners here. As you may remember, here's the ball select listener. It basically sets the image of the Pokeball next to the ball select as you select the balls. The way I did that was with an array list here of the file names of the balls. Now this runs parallel with the array of the names that's displayed in the ball select. So as you select a ball, it will be at the same position in that array as the file name is in this array list. So then we set this integer here, I, to the index of the ball select, and then we grab the name from the same index here and we just put it right there. And all this code right here does is creates a new image icon, and this gets the file path completed by the file name that we grabbed out of this array list. So as you may see, this is not in MVC yet. That's because I was a little confused about where the action listeners should go in Model View Controller and how to deal with that interaction. But as you can see, I have this same code going in the model right here, and then the controller is made as well. It's just a matter of figuring out how that interaction works. I just wanted to get a little guidance tomorrow, actually, when I go to class, and figure out how that's supposed to work in Model View Controller. It shouldn't take too long to just refactor things and get that compliant to MVC. Now, none of the other action listeners really have anything going on at the moment. That will change once I get this database up and running, as they will have to do similar functions to this other one. So now we're going to hop over to the tab view. Now this, I'll pull up the application here. Now this creates these two tabs up here and then places the other two panels inside of them. It's actually pretty simple. We just pass it the checker view here, and then we make the new tab pane right there. Here we set the image icon, and that is this Pokeball right up here in both of them. And then we're also we're initializing the info view in here for now. That may change later on as there's more complexity. But then we just create our tabs, and here's the first one. This is the checker tab, and you see we name it Pokécheck. Hold on, let me bring that back up. Pokécheck sets the name right there. Then we add in the Pokeball image right there. And then we say which panel we want to display in that tab. It makes navigation really simple, and I was surprised just how simple it is to make this. I'd never worked with it before, but I would recommend it. So that's where we're going to leave off for this sprint. That's most of what I did code-wise. I look forward to providing an update in another 2 weeks when I'm a little farther along.